Welcome to the Gynergy Effect, where energy meets intention and transformation begins.
We're your hosts, Garin and Yesi, partners in life, love, and purpose.
Here to share the tools, truth, and stories that helped us build a life from the inside out.
Whether you're seeking deeper health, conscious relationships, or your next level of purpose,
you're in the right place.
Welcome back to another episode of the Gynergy Effect podcast. Today on the Gynergy Effect, we're honored to welcome Anne Marbarger, a transformational leader mobilizing energy as power to accelerate cancer cures in her lifetime. Anne is the CEO of Curebound, a San Diego-based philanthropic organization with a bold vision, investing $100 million into collaborative cancer research across world-class institutions. Over the past decade, she evolved Padres Para da Casa into Curebound, raising tens of millions toward life-saving science. Earlier in her career, she also served as an intelligence analyst in the U.S. Treasury Department. She holds a bachelor's degree in government from Dartmouth College and an MBA from George Washington University. And she also worked at Deloitte in management consulting. With her expertise in consensus building, strategic partnership, and community activation, Anne leads with purpose, presence, and courage. This conversation will shine light on how intention, collaboration, and inventive action can shift our future and unite us together in healing. And with that, welcome, Anne. We're honored to have you with us.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here.
Wow, that was an impressive intro. And when somebody walks in and you read and there's so many boxes that you check, so many impressive accolades. But really the most impressive aspect, I think, is your energy. When you walked in, you could feel it. It was contagious, and it feels so pure. You just light up the room.
Magnetic and pure, beautiful.
And that it just says a lot about you, and you can see that you're doing something that's bigger than yourself, and you have this purpose. What I really would like to dive and understand before we get into where you are right now and the journey that you're on, where did all that stem from? What was that motivation? I know you said something about soccer and you know, man yelling after you scored a goal that, oh yeah, that's great for a girl. How did that help shape where you are today?
Yeah. I grew up in St. Louis with 3 older brothers, so I was pretty athletic from the get-go, and there was like no crying and only sports, and so I loved to play soccer. And when I was in around kindergarten, my parents expressed interest to this dad of like, Anne wants to be on the team, and he said, oh, we don't want any girls. And they didn't give up then. They found another coach that would let me be on the team. So I was on that team. And every time I'd score a goal, there was a dad, Mike Greenwood.
I still remember the name.
In this like raspy voice and yell, pretty good for a girl.
Wow.
And it's become like a phrase in our family. My parents come out and support everything I do. They always have. They're
That's incredible.
And everything Curebound. And they're like, joke, pretty good for a girl. And so I'm like coaching my young daughter's soccer team, walking around our neighborhood, like, what does that even mean? And like, could you imagine if someone said that today? And it sounds like so offensive. It sounds like unjust expectations put on someone based on their phenotype or DNA. But ironically, like what I felt in that moment actually was love. And I felt like it meant like pretty effing good. Because I knew that I was good. I loved the game. And every time I scored, he stood up and did it. So it's a weird twist on the phrase. It does sound so offensive. I didn't take it like that. I don't know. I haven't talked to him in this when I was 5 years old. So I don't know what he meant. But it felt like he had my back. And so that was when I was 5. I went on to play soccer in college. I played professionally.
Oh, wow.
And so I reflect on that of like, don't tell me that I can't do something because I know that I can do it.
You're going to prove him wrong.
I'm going to prove it wrong, but not because I really care about what he said. I loved the game.
Yeah.
And so I've learned like everything about leadership and teams and myself, like through the lens of soccer. I was a goalkeeper in college and professionally in Iceland. I don't tell a lot of people that because I don't want to stand in the goal anymore if I play.
You're like, get me out on the field. I watched enough. I want to go out and run.
But, I think about that. Like before I introduced Ed Sheeran on stage, I was like, this is like a penalty kick. Like you have to believe you can do it or you're not going to save it. So, so that's like how I started. And I think that I love doing things that like sort of seem impossible or that
Yeah.
things people don't think you can do. I remember I got really into triathlon and long distance running after college. And I did my first one in Anchorage, Alaska with my aunt. We were like sitting
Yeah.
around waiting for the results, and their neighbor was talking about Ironman, and I was like, no way. Like, that is not even at all remotely possible.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even interested. And I did one, like 6 years later.
Congratulations.
Did an Ironman. That's on my
incredible.
bucket list.
Really?
Yes,
Do it.
yes, I
You can
will.
do it.
No, I am.
You just have to decide.
Is there
just have to
swimming involved in
decide.
that one?
Yes.
There's swimming.
I
Yeah.
can't do that. I don't know how to
2.4
swim
miles.
yet.
Triathlon, swimming, biking, running. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
It's just about like having a clear goal, believing you can do it, putting in the work. For
Yeah.
me, like the work, my dad was a surgeon, very technical. You know, he's a heart surgeon, so
Yeah.
big consequences, but like very technical, like proficiency.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of translated into how I trained for sports and how I approach business and leadership. And you have to believe you can do it, do the work, and then go big.
So it sounds like you saw at 6 years old that you could play on any field with boys, girls, it didn't matter. And that when that person was saying that, Mike Greenwood, still remember the name? Maybe you should write him a thank you note, like a reflection note on like, what an impact that he had on your life that we're talking about him right now. That'd be, just think if you got a letter from somebody like that.
I could hear him laughing. He lives in St. Louis. My parents have bumped into him. Actually, like writing a book about this. I just said that publicly, so I guess
Love
that's
that.
Now you have
We
to
get
do
it,
it.
we get it, yeah.
Now
She's
everyone will be
writing a
waiting
book.
for it.
What's going to be the title of the book?
pretty good for a girl.
Pretty good for a girl.
Yeah.
That's
I
the
love that.
title of the
That's
book.
perfect.
That's the title.
That's going to go bestseller
wait
all the
to read
way. We're going to order it for sure. It's
I gotta
amazing.
write it first, but I'm getting there. I'm writing actually the last like month. I've been writing every morning.
When's the release date?
Oh gosh,
Let's set it.
what do you think? It's July right now.
Let's say what?
A year? Can I
A
have
year? Let's do 1 year.
do a year. Okay.
1 year.
good
So
commitment.
July.
I'll be
What's the
back.
date today? July.
30th.
July 30th.
July 30th, 2026. Watch out. Anne's book will be coming. You can order it. Let's have that thing be the New York Times bestseller. Whatever goals that you set, I have no doubt they're going to happen.
Thank you.
So that's pretty incredible.
The point of the book is to help people learn how to embrace their own expectations.
So help people learn how to embrace their own expectations. How would we do that?
So,
Abandoning other people's expectations and embracing your own expectations. I think there's like lots of themes in there about achieving things that you didn't think you could achieve and what that teaches you. High highs,
Yeah.
low lows, high highs. What that teaches you about yourself.
That's
So
so
I-
powerful,
yeah.
yeah, because there's so many expectations that are placed upon us from whether it's our parents, society, or what everyone else is doing, that we're always comparing or trying to meet other people's expectation, and sometimes we forget to like really reflect on our own and what it feels true to us.
It can be
Yeah.
exhausting, right?
Yeah.
How do you, I got a question because I'm with two very high performing women here, and I feel very honored by that. But like these are pretty incredible, two incredible women, and I've noticed, especially with her, nobody can put more expectations on pressure on her than what she does. She has like this just drive of excellence and wants to create whatever she puts her mind to into reality because she was her whole life kind of the underdog, right? So how do you one create those expectations within yourself, identify what those are important and in alignment that matter, and then two, how do you balance on putting too much pressure on yourself? Where is that? Because I think that's probably something I know I've battled with. I'm certain that you battle with. I've seen her battle with it on creating these expectations for ourselves and then giving ourselves a little bit of latitude on how we go
Little grace,
achieve that. What would you say on that aspect of it?
I think being clear on, it sounds like for you and also for me, it comes from within. The
Yeah.
drive to succeed and perform and accomplish something comes from within. So you don't need someone else telling you what you can be and what you can't be or what they think you should do.
Yeah.
And so I think once you've made your goal clear to do an Ironman, to sell out Petco Park for Elton
Yeah.
John, to raise money for cancer research, then being really disciplined around, and we talked about energy from the start here, of like people in your life mentors, friends, loved one, a spouse that that bring you positive energy. Like, it's so basic, and like eliminating, trying to minimize those that like take energy from you. And that sounds pretty simple, and it's definitely easier said than done.
Yeah.
But I mean, you commented about my energy coming in here. I did a hot yoga class at 9:30 today.
I love hot yoga.
Middle of the business day, right?
Yeah.
I love it too.
Good for you
And
for taking
there's
that time. Yeah.
Voices, you know, of like my team's at work.
Yeah.
And should I be doing this? But I didn't get home till 10 o'clock last night from doing work things and a couple of board meeting and then an event. And I usually go to a 6 a.m. class, and I didn't want to be gone when my kids went to bed last night and then when they woke up this morning. So I'm like, I'll go to 9:30. So for me, it's all about balance and having the discipline to know that that yoga class is like exactly what I need to be a better leader in person. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's one kind of like micro
I
example.
love that.
Yeah,
Good for
no,
you
it's-
for honoring your needs. Even today, I was like thinking like, should I wash my hair to have a fresh look? But I knew like I needed that to feel like fresh and like confident and ready. And even like that smallest act of self-care goes a long way. And instead of like, you know, thinking of what everyone else needs, focusing on how can I honor my needs too, so that I can show up as my best. Even if it's something that to some people may seem like doesn't make sense in the middle of the day to like go to a hot yoga class.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
for you, that felt like it was what your body was needing, what you were needing in that moment. And that's important to honor that.
I think one statistic that always stands out to me is burnout is $1 trillion issue in enterprise and for businesses, right? Of just people that go so hard in different ways, and then they end up burning out, not fulfilling what their vision is, their obligations, whatever else, and implementing some of these things, because it's not always the amount of availability, it's how intentional you are with your time, your energy, and what type of impact that you can drive on that. How are you finding with having, because it sounds like you have a lot of roles, responsibilities, a lot of big initiatives that you're driving. How do you find yourself balancing all of that?
Yeah, it does feel like a lot. I have 3 little kids that are 3, 6, and 8.
Oh, wow.
And
That's a
so-
handful.
It's a lot. I was like telling someone the other day that also has 3 kids, like it's like literally just a lot of noise
Yeah.
There's like a lot of
Yeah.
noise.
when they're there. And I think I'm an extroverted introvert. So introvert at the core. I need to like have quiet time to
Yeah, that's who I
rejuvenate
am too.
and process. Yeah. So like I don't get a lot of alone time. And I'm aware of that now.
Yeah.
And so I remember last weekend, like I literally did not have 1 minute by myself over the entire weekend. I had to give
Yeah.
a presentation on a Saturday, and we had the soccer party all day Sunday. And Monday morning, I'm like, I'm going to yoga. And that was during also,
Yeah.
now I sound like a habitual yoga person. But yeah, I mean, so you were talking about burnout and how consequential it is. And it's all relative to the individual. I mean, I could look at your schedule and be like, oh my gosh, how do you do that? And you could look at mine and maybe say the same thing. But I think it's all relative to like, what's your purpose and what are
Yeah.
your goals? And are you doing the right balance of things over time that are filling your cup, net positive relative to the things that kind of drain your cup?
Right.
So we had our third kid like 3 months before the Alicia Keys concert.
Wow.
And I was like so sleep deprived, but I was like, there's no place else I'd rather be. And if I'm going to speak up there on stage to represent our brand and our organization and convey to the community that everyone is like belongs with Curebound,
Yeah.
then like I have to practice more and I need to be prepared, and I better believe that I can do it. So
Yeah, I mean, I think what I heard from you saying is creating a life that's in alignment with you, that you're passionate about, that you don't feel a need to escape from, and really people independently kind of can understand and craft their life in that way, then it can be very powerful and impactful. If there's something that you mentioned earlier is like the stuff that drains you, work on cutting those out of your life. The stuff that adds to you, learn to enhance those into your life and help that create, a better outcome. I mean, you touched briefly on Curebound. I mean, that's such an incredible organization, such a huge impact that you're having with that. What was like the beginning journey to start? Because you've had so many great things that you've
You
done
worked
at a
in
very high.
government consulting. So what was the transition like from going from that work to nonprofit leadership, and how was the inspiration behind Curebound?
Right.
Yeah, so I spent 10 years in Washington, D.C. out of college. 9/11 was my
Yeah.
freshman year, so
Oh, wow.
I went in thinking I was going to be pre-med, and then I got really interested in international affairs.
Yeah.
And I wrote a thesis on the UN and like international institutions. So could collaboration exist at this like institutional level in a way that didn't
Yeah.
happen before? And I moved to D.C. I was an intelligence analyst, like doing counterterrorist finance at the Treasury Department for like 4 years.
So you're tracking the money and who's funding it and finding really who's pulling the strings on everything. Oh, that's powerful.
Yeah, it was like super interesting, an inch wide and like miles
Deep.
And I've like kind of back to the book. I think for me, I've looked back at different phases of my career,
Yeah.
and I've thought like a process of like what led me to that.
Yeah.
What did I learn and pick up while I was there, and then what was missing, and how does that kind of help me figure out like in retrospect what came
Yeah.
next. So like in the government as an intel analyst, it was very hard to measure, and it was like very introverted. Like you were at
Yeah.
your desk the entire week reading reports
Yeah.
and never talking to people. And I was like, I'd teach a spin class at night, and people would be like,
Yeah.
I'm doing my first triathlon because of you. And I was like, oh, I just changed that person's life.
Yeah.
So that I was like, I don't know what to do next. So I went to business school,
Yeah.
and I did an Ironman in that time. And that was like so high. And then I like, it's over. And you're like, what am I living for now?
Yeah.
You know, I was like
Yeah. It's a
29.
purpose.
Then I went to Deloitte Consulting in their federal
Yeah.
practice. So I was like basically trying to fix the federal government
Yeah.
clients.
That's a big undertaking. I
Big
feel like you're the
undertaking.
right
That is a
one, though,
big
to get
undertaking.
after that one.
My first internship at Accenture was with the Department of Education. So
Okay.
in
Wow.
DC as well. So I spent some time there.
Federal practice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like super smart people, like really important mission. I learned a ton. It was very relational. So like I picked that up that was like missing as an
Yeah.
intel analyst. And it was like building relationships with clients, like kind of PowerPoints, you know, project management, pretty universal
Yeah.
skills. But after a few years of that, it was like, okay, this project, even if we're like 200% successful, is
Yeah.
not going to fix the VA. Like, it was such a noble mission, but like
Yeah.
the contracts were chopped up so small that like what I felt like was that like there were some systemic issues
Yeah.
that like needed to be fixed. I was on this project called Quick Wins, and by the end I was like, we shouldn't even call it this. Like, it's not a quick win. It needs. So I was like, that's like a little bit too hard to try and change. So I, meanwhile, have been into like triathlon, long distance cycling, and I was like always interested in human health and trying to make an impact on individuals, but didn't like know how to do that. So like, am I a coach? Do I try and lead a business? And I was working with a executive coach.
Yeah.
And I called Bill Komen from St. Louis, who we were talking about, who started Pedal the Cause in St. Louis. He and his family, he's a cancer survivor. Okay. And I called him for mentoring. I didn't even know about Pedal the Cause San Diego. And he's like, oh, you ride bikes and you're a management consultant. Like, why don't you come out here? And I was like, okay. So we were in talks with the Padres then to become Padres Pedal. So that explains the transition. I felt like if I was going to leave Deloitte Consulting, which like everyone's heard of, to go work for a nonprofit that like no one's heard of, it better be aligned from a mission perspective. There better be like, for me, upward trajectory from a career standpoint. And like I trusted the founders of the organization. It's like loyal, successful people. So that was 10 years ago. And I think you asked about the transition and how I kind of got out here, but
yeah, no, I mean, that was a great answer. I mean, you're doing a great job really taking us through the journey of your life. And it's such a powerful example of when you have belief and you don't just because I think people get stuck sometimes where it's like, this is what I do, this is my identity, and they don't know how to make that transition to, if they're not living a life in alignment or they're not happy with who they are in that, and that maybe they don't agree with the movement of the company or the direction of their career, making that transition for people. A lot of times people are really scared to do that and make that jump. What would be some advice if somebody's sitting in that boat right now? They know that this is not where they want to be. They don't want to live the next 20 years.
Maybe the life looks good on paper, but doesn't feel good in the inside. Doesn't feel fulfilling at the end of the day. Yeah. So if they're thinking about that, what would be your message to them?
I think, I mean, you know it inside you when you're like not in the right place.
Yeah.
I know what it's like to feel stuck and to be like, which direction, like where do I go from here? And I think I observed that I would go through that process, like I kind of explained, of like, how did I get there? What did I pick up? And like what was missing? And like how can the next jump, kind of build on the skills and things I've picked up along the way and fill a gap of like something that's not being met.
Yeah.
And so in this most recent example for me, like I really wanted to be able to measure my impact. Having worked in like big government systems where it was like super hard to measure and a kind of a slower pace of change, this is like, I can see day in and day out my impact on the business and then impact on human health in the community. And so that was like really rewarding for me. I mean, I guess practically speaking, I think just talking to different people in the areas of like business that you're sort of considering can really help. That's like one of the best parts of my jobs too. I get to meet with like so many incredible people, and I mean, just gotta have the courage to try something new. It's not worth doing it if you're miserable.
Yeah, it's not worth doing it if you're miserable. I always say, it's funny because as we become adults, there becomes a stigma around failure. And we all have this fear around it. And it's interesting because when we're babies and we learn to walk, part of learning to walk, you'd fall down, but then you make a little progress, you fall down, make a little bit of progress, and people would be cheering, you'd be happy like you're making this. And none of us ever thought, hey, we failed, we fell down, and so let's not get back up because now I'm afraid to take that next step in how I look or people judge me or whatever else. And if we can tap back into that purity in those moments of like, it doesn't matter. What matters is the progress that I'm making, the fact that I'm following my dreams, the fact that I'm in alignment with my purpose. And if I fail, that's okay because that's a part of that process. Do you have a couple of examples of maybe sometimes that your failures ended up turning into maybe some of the biggest gifts in your life, or how you work through that?
Yeah, I mean, I just like your analogy, your example of like little kids learning to walk is so great, and everyone learns to walk at a different time. And so I think the most important part is, I mean, how we kind of circling back to how we started the conversation of like, what do you want to achieve? Like, what is your own expectation? Because if you know what that is, then just trying to like discard what other people want you to achieve. I mean, I've certainly been in situations where like our board or different people on the board want the goal to be much higher than it is, and that can feel daunting if we're not hitting that. And so I think at the end of the day, knowing like, are you giving the best you can, and what are the goals that you have set for yourself? I mean, it's a little bit different if you're like leading the organization or a team, because then you're like, there's an agreed upon, measurable goal. Yeah. But I mean, like missing the target is not fun. But it can in the business world. I know we had a couple years where we like doubled our revenue, and a couple of years in a row, and then we fell short of like our major gift philanthropy, and meanwhile like the concert we were like knocking out of the park. So it was like I really didn't feel like I was failing, but like rationally I knew that like this one goal was like under target, and it was like it's helpful to learn, well, like, why is that? Is that because we're not asking the right people? Is it because we're asking the right people, but they're saying no? Why are they saying no? Is it because they already came to one of our events? They supported like another product of our business? Or so, yeah, I've definitely like failed before.
But I try and frame it as
you learn from all of it, and it was.
So how do you measure? So you talk about some of the measurables that you guys put in there. How do you do that? What is kind of the systems that you guys put into place to really be, and maybe before we get there, let's talk a little bit more about your journey, but I do want to talk about that as we get into that. Yeah, so you went and met with the nonprofit, and you're like, I'm going to make this transition.
And that was
into this.
Padres Pedal the Cause, right?
It was actually called Pedal the Cause at the time, and then
yeah.
the next year we became Padres Pedal.
Okay, but okay.
Yeah, and then in 2020 we went through this like big transformation to look back and say like we had been Padres Pedal from 2016 to 2020, and it was basically like the business model when I came out here was set. It wasn't changing. We recruit a bunch of people to ride their bike or do a 5K walk run or do a spin class. They all fundraise, and we donate that money to cancer research. Oh, wow. And then it was like rinse and repeat. Try and grow at 20% next year. Okay, try and grow at 20% next year. And that part, I was like getting a little bit burnt out, to be honest with you. And we had been brainstorming, and we worked with an incredible branding agency, Siegel and Gale, out of Los Angeles, to say like, wait a second. The research that we fund, we require, at that time it was 4 institutions in San Diego to collaborate, and no one else was doing that. And they otherwise seemingly would not work together. So it's scientists like that, MDs at Moore's Cancer Center and Rady Children's that are actually treating cancer patients, partnering with basic scientists like who has a PhD, not an MD, at the Salk or Sanford Burnham that are like studying the mutations of cancer in a petri dish.
Right.
So we made them work together for years in a row.
Yeah.
And no one else was doing that. So we're like, okay, from a science perspective, like that's a value proposition.
Yeah.
We do really good events. Not everyone likes to ride a bike. Our brand doesn't really make sense. Are you Padres? Are you like pedal? What's the cause? You don't only pedal. You also do a 5K walk run. So we, they helped, Siegel and Gale helped us come up with the name Curebound.
It's a great name.
So good, right? I mean, it says like...
It says everything right in the name.
Yeah, one word.
Yeah.
And then I say like that was like a shift for my leadership role of like going from growing an existing business to like wiping the slate clean and like building something from scratch.
Yeah.
So we knew we were going to continue to do Padres Pedal the Cause, but we're like, we should bring together people through the power of music. So that's when we met, we had been working with Fernanda Whitworth for a while, who's like incredible. And she unfortunately lost her husband, Ralph, to cancer.
That's tough.
Yeah, and they were just like huge thinkers and really community oriented, and they were always passionate about music and the power of music to bring people together. So we partnered with Faye and the Immunotherapy Foundation. We set up a concert, and then we set up Major Gift Philanthropy. And like that first year, we got like $6 million donations.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Like I didn't even have a pledge agreement form. I'm like... And then the next year we raised $22 million.
And what year
Went
was
from
that?
6 to 22.
Well, like almost 9 the first year, but 6 of that 9 came from like $1 million pledges.
Wow.
The biggest check we had before was like $200,000.
And what year was that?
2022.
Wow. Okay.
2021, and then 2022 was we raised $22 million.
So from going from 2 million to, you said the biggest pledge was 200 to...
Oh, yeah. So when in the Pedal the Cause years, and we were raising everything through the cycling event, the biggest check was $200,000.
200,000.
Yeah.
And then that year
2021, when we launched Curebound, we raised $9 million total, and about 5 to 6 of that million was single $1 million contributions.
Wow.
What would you say is the biggest change, the shift that happened from going from 200 to $1 million on that donor pledges?
Yeah, a few different things. One of them is that as much as the brand was like a complete startup, no one had heard the word Curebound before. We had a whole new vision for how we would fundraise. The concert, Padres Pedal the Cause, and Major Gift Philanthropy. We had a whole new model for cancer research. We were going to build a scientific advisory board, and then we brought in 2 new research institutes. So the 4 that I mentioned already, plus Scripps Research and La Jolla Institute. So like that... The model was new and big. Yeah. And then we also had that, like, by that point, 6 to 8 years of credibility, because Pedal the Cause started in 2013 and by now it was 2021, of like working with the heads of the cancer institutes, and working in the community and like growing the business every single year. So we had credibility,
proof of concept,
trust. And so when we unrolled like a much bigger vision, people bought in.
They responded.
That's incredible. And
If you
what
built it, they will come.
Yeah.
And they did.
They did.
And they are.
They do. Yeah.
and what is your mission and vision for the future of Curebound?
great question.
So our mission statement, our mission is to mobilize San Diego to accelerate cures for cancer. We see like this community is really different than other leading biotech communities like Boston and San Francisco. And it's because a few ingredients, like we have these incredible research institutions. They're all like pretty close together. And then we have this like life science cluster, like 2,000 companies. A lot of them are oncology, but some of them aren't necessarily oncology, but they're using technologies that are applicable to cancer. And there's this like spirit of collaboration and willingness to actually partner in a way that does not happen in the Bay Area and in Boston for different reasons. Part of that could be geographic, but it's just super collaborative here. And so we've always kind of like incentivize that on the research side of things, because we wouldn't give them grant money if they didn't partner.
There you go.
And then we've like scaled that. So that's our mission, and it's the mission is mobilized because we know that every single household, every single business and family has been touched by cancer. And if we can create a platform and an event and experience and brand that can create belonging and welcome everyone who's been touched, and you can donate $25 or $10 million, but you can be part of the solution of a disease that touches everyone, then that can like be an accelerator to the incredible like life science research that's happening here. So we're not trying to replace those institutions by creating labs ourselves. We recognize how talented they are, and we're trying to make their work like go faster.
So
It's a beautiful mission.
Yeah.
Before we go on, I just want to say that's a beautiful mission. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Yeah.
And so talking about some of the impact that you guys are having from raising the funds, creating awareness, what are some of the cures or technologies that you're seeing right now that you're most excited about? And when do you expect that you're going to start seeing those roll out?
We have funded a couple, like our biggest grant is called the Cure Prize, and it's $1 million award, and it's to teams that are trying to improve the standard of care of a cancer that's typically fatal, and to have patient application in 3 to 5 years. And the 3 that we funded are ovarian cancer, pancreatic cancer, and liver cancer. And so, I mean, we have a couple friends and neighbors like in our life right now that are going through pancreatic cancer, and it's like so brutal, and it's like diagnosed so late. And so not only is that Cure Prize like working on a new immunotherapy combination, but like we funded a few other pancreatic cancer research programs. So I think those, like, there's still several diseases that are just diagnosed: lung, ovarian, brain, pancreatic, some GIs, cancers that are like, people walk in and it's like metastasized already, and there's like quality of life is not good, like duration of life is not good. It's like just gut wrenching. So like new options, therapies that can extend life, and also then detecting those cancers like earlier on. One of our research pillars is around overcoming disparities in research and care. So I heard the former head of American Cancer Society talk about like how the cancer mortality rate has decreased 30% since the 90s. And if the current standard of care was rolled out to everybody who need it, it would decrease another 10 to 15%, I think, significantly.
That's
I don't even know
pretty
what
significant,
the point is that a lot of people are just not getting it, not getting the, like, what is standard, not even talking about innovation, but standard.
Why do you think that is?
It's like so complicated, but I mean, I think there's like cultural barriers to some like screening. There's totally access to care issues with inability to travel to medical care, inability to like afford quality care, inability to afford the cost once if you have been diagnosed, if you do those things, and it's like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, it's just super complex. But I think the greatest impact could be like deploying some of the already like pretty standard screening tools for there's like liquid biopsies, and then also colonoscopies to detect GI cancers earlier, mammograms. I think the science will improve on detecting lung cancers and some other cancers as well. So it's a pretty rapid time of innovation.
Yeah. And you mentioned immunotherapy. Can you touch a little bit more about what that is specifically, and do you believe that that is the future of cancer treatment, or where that falls in?
Yeah. So cancer is like really over 200 diseases where some type of cell in your body is like replicating uncontrollably.
Yeah.
And so either something has been turned off that's allowing it to keep going, or something has been turned on that's making it go faster.
Yeah.
And it's, for some reason, like the immune system isn't able to detect that that's happening and shut it down.
Yeah.
So immunotherapies look at T cells, and now I'm getting like on the edge of my science, but other parts of your immune system to try and turn it back on and make it sensitive and make it able to detect cancer growing in your body. So our chief science advisor, Ezra Cohen, actually is the oncologist who led Ralph Whitworth's team. He's like incredible. He's like world-renowned head and neck cancer oncologist. He does a lot of immunotherapy research, and he has a lot of stories of people who came in to Morris Cancer Center with metastatic disease that had coming to him for a second opinion, sometimes first opinion, where they were out of options, and he tried an immunotherapy. Sometimes it's done in combination with a chemo or other types of therapies, but it can have like curative effects. It's like really impactful for melanoma. Head and neck cancers, I think, respond really well. Some lung cancers, I think, do pretty well with immunotherapy. So I mean, that's like so promising if we could understand like why is our own body not able to fight cancer.
Right. Why is it not more accessible to others, right? It seems like it's, like you said, like it is really promising, and it has a lot of potential to help so many people.
Yeah, if there's a way to allow our bodies to fight the cancer itself, that turns something on there that hasn't recognized.
To recognize it sooner and treat it sooner, right?
Yeah. So I think there's so many different dimensions and points of, I think, attack on cancer. I think artificial intelligence will help like the drug discovery process. It should help with like clinical trial matching. I like the understanding of the human genome and why, like what mutations exist, so that when people get onto a therapy, it's more targeted for their specific mutation. I mean, like chemo is like blanket, just trying to kill everything. But like if you have a therapy that's like tailored to your actual mutation, like that tends to be more effective on the cancer and less impactful on the rest of the body.
What else? Screening tools, like we talked about. Pediatric cancer, childhood cancer is another like whole bag of challenges. Like typically gets far less funding because there are fewer patients. The patient population of kids is much smaller. So from an economic incentive, like pharmaceutical companies tend to not spend as much money there developing like new therapies because fewer people are gonna buy them.
What do you see in the biggest resistance point? A lot of times they talk about cancer is such a huge revenue generator for pharmaceutical companies, for the medical industry as a whole, right? I mean, it just is. And it's built on the backs of a lot of pain and suffering that people have. And I know there's a lot of emotion that goes into that. And maybe some of it is perceived and some of it actually is reality. Where are you seeing some of the friction points as far as allowing innovation to happen, or stuff that's holding back maybe a cure that could be potentially there if we opened up the gates? Are you seeing that in the government side? Are you seeing it more in like where people are prioritizing business-wise side, or what's your take on that?
I don't have a ton of intel into the pharmaceutical space, but I definitely can understand like the criticisms or accusations, that like it's such a profitable industry, and is it really well intended? I'm an optimist. I think cancer is a really tough disease. It's so difficult to develop a therapy, a drug, and get it approved. Like the clinical trial infrastructure is so time consuming and expensive. I can't help but think there's a lot of more efficient ways to make money if that really is what's driving pharma. I think it's a very expensive industry. I think right now, so I don't have complete insight into some of like the hurdles and obstacles. I am, of course, like following the news, and I mean, I think these like potential cuts to the NIH would be like really devastating, because as we fund so many different scientific researchers here, and what they say about Curebound funding is that it's this like starter funding that's like it supports their innovation to test new ideas that NIH isn't going to fund, because it's too risky. Like they don't know if it's going to actually work.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, try it. you know?
Yeah, that's how we innovate. You got to take that swing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Only
And
one way to
so
find out.
once they get, a lot of times they'll say Curebound funds help them explore an idea and get some data, and then they can apply to NIH for follow-on funding once the idea is a little bit more tested.
Right.
Well, NIH just said that, the government just said that they're going to slash funding. So who's going to fund that, like, de-risked idea and innovation? So I'm a little bit nervous about that. I said I'm an optimist. I think it will blow over, but I think it's a little bit of turmoil in the short term. And I think that I'm concerned about people, young scientists, who are looking at, like, what job am I going to get if I pursue a PhD? Like, what's my career going to be like? And the message to those young and tenured scientists to say that, like, their work isn't valuable, like, that's just so disillusioning, because people are suffering from so many diseases, and we need to find cures.
Yeah, I mean, cancer has, like you said, almost everybody knows somebody that's been affected or been personally affected by cancer, and the journey that people go through is devastating, and it's heart-wrenching to watch that. And to be a family member is, very difficult as well, when you don't have, like, you can't do anything to help that process, and you just hope that everybody's moving as quickly as possible to find that solution or find better ways of treatment. So I'm really grateful that you have this mission and you guys are moving that forward, and and going through overcoming overcoming some obstacles that are there. Are you seeing because there's a clinical scientist, a doctor that lives here, and he's a great friend of mine. Oh, wow. Are you seeing that part of the issues are matching clinical trials with patients that need it? Is that a big problem that you're seeing?
I do think that's a problem. I hear that that's a problem. I know patients that are like late stage disease that are like sort of out of the traditional options, are like just so hungry to find a clinical trial. Yeah. And I think, I remember we were like giving a talk one time, and someone said, oh, you can go to NIH.gov, like NIH like clinicaltrials.gov or something. And that person, was like, have you tried that? Like, it's like it's not very clear cut.
Yeah.
I do know, like I mentioned, Ezra Cohen, our chief science advisor, works for a company called Tempus AI.
Yeah.
Part of what they do is an algorithm and platform to try and consolidate, I think, clinical trial offerings, and try and use artificial intelligence to better match patients, because, I mean, a clinical trial needs to be run out of usually a comprehensive cancer center. Well, maybe they have spots for 30 people with stage 2 prostate cancer. And what if you live in Kansas or Massachusetts? Like, how are you going to find those offerings when you, like, really need it? So I do think that's like on an individual level, it's a potential, like, life or death. From a like a regulatory process, it's also the sooner patients are enrolled in clinical trials, like the quicker they can get that data to get to the next step.
He built something called My Trial. I'm going to connect the two of you, because I think it's funny that sometimes you're in a seat having a conversation with somebody for a purpose, and maybe that connection is exactly why. But he's very passionate about it. It's a problem that he talks to me all the time about. And I started an AI collective, and so basically in San Diego, like you talked about, there's so many great people down here, and everybody's so collaborative. And I know it's like AI is, that buzzword, everybody hears about it, but there's so many people that are really into different aspects of AI here. And so my mission is just bringing people together and helping find solutions to problems. And I think what you're doing right now is exactly that. You're finding solutions to such a big problem, and you're leading that charge. And, it's just, I'm so grateful that to be with somebody that is doing it at such a high level too, because our mission is around creating impact and creating that service. But sometimes it can get overwhelming. Sometimes it can feel like, do people actually, like, do they want to help themselves as much as you want to help them, you know? And there's some resistance along with
For
that.
those people who are listening now, what are some of the ways that, whether it's individuals or companies, that they can get involved in supporting Curebound's mission? Whether they know someone who has cancer, they've been affected by cancer themselves, or just really want to support the mission.
Thank you for asking that. Yeah, anyone who's touched by cancer is, which is everyone, has a warm home and connection and welcome point with Curebound. So we do lots of events. We've touched on some of them. We did this incredible concert with Elton John at Petco Park with 27,000 people. I mean, tickets range from like $30 to $10,000. So
There's a seat literally.
There's
For everybody.
a seat for everyone.
Anybody can go.
We had Alicia Keys and then Ed Sheeran and then Elton John. So we're going to take a big swing next year. I'll share that with you as soon as we know who the artist is.
Can't wait to hear it.
Date.
Keep an eye out.
Right?
It's
The lineup has been incredible so far.
they've been incredible artists who said yes to Curebound and yes to cancer. So we have this event on August 2nd, the Curebound Cancer Challenge, and we have about 2,700 people signed up to register and participate.
And we're signing up too.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. It's a great day. And just knowing that you can be part of the community, you can be part of the solution by funding Curebound at any level. You can go to our website, curebound.org, and donate. You can interact with us on LinkedIn and tell us your story and how you've been touched by cancer, and help us develop more cures.
What is a big, like I call it, big, hairy, audacious goal? What is that for Curebound, and then what's that for you?
So we have 5 research pillars, and we just went through this like really fun strategic planning process, which like a bunch of brilliant scientists from all different academic institutions and life science community and venture capital, and like it's a really good outcome-driven strategy that like we've never had. I told you, we started up this idea and people gave us $1 million donations because we said we were going to have a concert. We said we were going to stand up the scientific advisory board.
And you did it.
And we did it. And in that time, our research applications have gone from like 30 to 160. Wow. This year we got 166. It was a 30% increase. So I know we are going to fund the best scientists in the world. Many of them are based here in San Diego. They're studying all different types of cancer. We have a really good collaborative strategy, and my goal is to drive significant sustainable funding to each of those research pillars, like $25-50 million raised, so that we can, over the next at least several years, while the climate in Washington isn't as supportive of early phase research, that we can be a sustainable pipeline for the incredible scientists here in that community. So I think some major gifts and investment across the community in a way that we never have done it. I think that's what's next for Curebound.
I love that.
And we already talked about what's next for me. I'm going to finish
You're
writing
gonna write the book.
We got the date and
Pretty
everything.
good for a girl.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I'm
So
so
I've
excited.
got a lot of writing to do, but you guys will keep me inspired.
We'll hold you accountable for sure. I got one more question, and then she has maybe a couple questions. I always go through this exercise with people about their eulogy. When, it's the most important thing. It's a thing that we write every single day of our lives, but we don't actually get to be the one to share that at the end of the day, with people. When you're remembered and that eulogy is spoken, what do you want people to remember you for?
I want people to remember me for my family, my impact on the community, and the energy and twinkle that you said I came in radiating. I hope I have that purpose and energy till I'm 100. And
I love
I'm
that. It's
sharing
beautiful.
that with everyone around me.
Such a great answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a couple of rapid fire questions. What's saving your life right now?
Family and mentors and people that love me. Love, how about that?
Love. Oh, I love that.
I love that. Real quick, rapid fire. A mentor. Why does that matter?
That's going to be a chapter in the book. It's called 1 o'clock on Friday, because that is when I talk to my mentor.
Yeah.
I've been talking to him business for the past 4 or 5 years. We talked about energy and believing in yourself and abandoning other people's expectations and knowing that your drive and purpose comes from within, and that you have to be disciplined about surrounding yourself by people that believe in you and help you achieve that mission and goal that you've set, and be better at how to get there and how to be, and try and discard people that that don't believe in you, or try and go around you or bring you down, or cause pain and suffering. So mentors, either in a formal capacity, I mean, they're going to come in and out of your life depending on like what you're going through, I think, but connecting with people who have gone through adversity and believe in you and who love you.
It's beautiful.
Another question. What's one belief that you had to unlearn to be able to lead in this way?
That there is, like, how other people lead and live their life is how I should do it. I mean, I have 3 kids, and exercise is like critical to my health and well-being and happiness. And all the time I'm like, does she do, would that CEO do this or that? And like, who cares? Do what you need to do.
Staying true to what feels true to you, what feels authentic to you.
Yeah. I mean, and sometimes that means skipping the gym class at 6 and sending emails at that time because no one else is awake in my house, and doing what I need to do to, to fill my cup and get my stuff done. But, of course, learn from other great people and leaders, but don't feel like just because it worked for someone else, you have to do it that way too.
Love that. I love that you honor what feels right to you. I think that's beautiful, and I think a lot of people listening can probably relate to that. It's easy to like just fall victim of other people's expectations and demands, and sometimes forget to fill our own cups.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Last question that I have here. At the Gynergy Effect, we believe energy is our power. What does Gynergy mean to you?
Energy is power. And I think I sense from you both like how genuine and authentic you both are, and how important like giving back is, and giving back to the community. And I think it's so powerful to know that like you're not alone, and that sometimes when you feel like most alone, whether it's cancer or like something else, like get outside, connect, like you're not alone, and with that you can create power and hope and whatever you need to do things that seem impossible or overwhelming. That's what this means to me, Gynergy.
That's a beautiful answer.
Thank you.
We're going to have to use that.
I'm so grateful. I know we're both really inspired by this interview. I know probably both of us
so
would.
honored to have you, and you have such beautiful energy and like a pure heart, and it definitely shines through in every answer and every interaction, and then your presence here.
And I know we're going to be tapping into you for some mentorship. I know that's going to be a thing that
one of the things that I did get out of this conversation is definitely the importance of mentorship, and I think you could definitely be a great mentor to others, to us, and it's a great reminder that you don't have to do everything alone, right? That it's important to seek out mentors. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, it can be like confusing. I mean, mine now is like every Friday at 1, and that just like I wasn't like, oh, you should get a mentor to talk to. I mean, it just happened organically because that person supported me, and I was like going through a time where I was like, I was acting, doing the work of the CEO, but I like wasn't offered the job, and I was like so upset about it. And it wasn't that they offered it to someone else. It just like wasn't happening. It was just like, keep doing it. And so I guess in retrospect, like he was there for me, like through highs and lows. Like, there was trust. And then we just sort of like established the right routine for me and us. But I think it's like the equation is like potentially different for everybody else. But the point is like there's some like, I guess, common principles that would go into. I mean, do you guys have mentors? Do you feel like you have a mentor?
Well, I have a couple of people, and I'm like really diving into that. But I know with her, it's hard to.
I feel like I've had different mentors in different seasons of my life. I feel like in this current season of my life,
I'm seeking out a different kind of mentorship that feels more in alignment with where I'm headed. And I don't know if I have that person yet.
I feel like this may just have happened. So I'm excited about that. I just the energy. I'm such a big energy person, and you just like I can sense that you have such pure intentions with the way that you live your life and the impact that you want to create, and you're here through the God, the universe, whatever it is, to continue to make that impact, overcome that. Guy said that about you scoring a girl is good for a girl, but it's good because you are here to serve and you are here to change the world. And I'm just beyond grateful again that you're here with us. So this is Anne.
How can people connect with you, reach out to you? What is the best way to reach you?
Connect with me on LinkedIn, Anne Marbarger. You can connect on curebound.org. You can find tons of information about Curebound. My email address is on there too. It's Anne, A-N-N-E, at curebound.org. And
Well, you heard it. I hope you enjoyed the episode. The Gynergy Effect, bringing incredible people on a mission to change the world. And we are so grateful for you to be here today, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Please share it with anyone you think that needs to hear this message.
Thank you again, Anne.
So much.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
So fun to be with you.
If this episode spoke to your soul,
share it with someone you love and tag us at the Gynergy Effect. We'd love to connect.
and remember, your energy is your power. Use it with intention.